Hey there, Titans fans. If you want more videos all off-season long, then it is time for you to subscribe. And if you haven't already, I'll be honest, I'm pretty damn disappointed. Let's get going with this. Let's get to 3,000 subscribers. That way, Tennessee Titans Today can be a bigger priority than, say, the Minnesota Vikings channel here at Chat Sports, and certainly more than our Texans channel. So if you want more videos more frequently, hit that big red button and sub right now. Today's video is all about potential cuts for the Tennessee Titans. In the salary cap world, teams often end up cutting players who they think maybe aren't performing at the level that they want. And for Tennessee, there are some fairly big names who could be on the chopping block this offseason. Let's begin with what I think is one of the tougher decisions. That is at offensive guard with Rodger Saffold. A rather large cap hit this upcoming year, $12.82 million for Saffold. That is a pretty hefty sum for an offensive guard who is still playing at a, I would argue, pretty good, but maybe not quite elite level as he enters we'll call it the back nine of his NFL career after being drafted back in, as he's entering his age 34 season. So maybe even beyond his back nine, maybe the final couple holes here. And there's a lot to be saved with Saffold, by the way, $10.44 million. By the way, we're focused on only the guys that could save you big-time money, not the eighth-string receiver no one has ever heard of. Saffold's a good football player. He offers veteran experience, was better in the run than he was against the pass, and that makes him a tough decision this offseason. You could extend him, give him a little bit less per year than what he's making on this most recent deal, and bring that cap hit down just a little bit, because if you were to cut Rodger Saffold, I do wonder what you do at left guard. Is it Aaron Brewer? Do you try to flip around Nate Davis, maybe move Dylan Radins over there? Since where are you going to play Dylan Radins, by the way, this upcoming offseason? Decisions to make on the offensive line for Tennessee. I like Saffold. He's a good football player. I don't want to cut someone of his caliber, but at $10 million, I could use that money in different ways, maybe help pay for some of my own guys and figure out left guard with a cheaper option or an internal option on the roster. That makes it tough. More names coming up, but first, I want you guys to name a player who you think the Tennessee Titans should cut. If you get the ad break here on YouTube, take advantage of it. While the ad plays, head down there and drop a name for me. Zach Cunningham is next up here on this list, the linebacker who the team claimed off of waivers from the Houston Texans. Now, I wonder if the Titans adding his old linebackers coach makes it more likely he'll return in 2022, but at a $10.4 million cap hit, I don't know if I want him back for that price tag. The Titans would save all of it if they were to cut Cunningham this offseason. Maybe you work out an extension, bring the cap hit down, because Cunningham, I do think, played pretty well once the Titans acquired him via the waiver wire process when Houston said, we're done with him, as they are a just disaster of an organization. And it is decision time for Houston at inside linebacker. David Long under contract. Monty Rice under contract. I would assume those two guys are going to be your top inside linebacker despite the big-time price tag for Cunningham. I don't mind him as a third option for Tennessee, but I don't want him at a $10 million hit. So because of that, even if you let Evans and Brown leave, I would work out a different deal for Cunningham. Maybe you guarantee that $10 million, tack on a little bit more and make it a 2 or a 3-year deal. That makes some sense for me if you're Tennessee. Folks, you can get this awesome Titans hoodie for only $30 at chatsports.com/Titans hoodie. Do you guys know how hard it is to find officially licensed NFL gear of a hoodie at that cost? Yeah, damn near impossible. So go check it out today. We'll put the link in the comments section and in the description. It's chatsports.com/Titans hoodie. Sticking with defense now, Janoris Jenkins is next up here, the cornerback. Now, a lot of this comes down to how do they feel about Caleb Farley making his return, but the money makes it possible that Jack Rabbit Jenkins is on his way out in Tennessee after just a year. $10+ million cap that the organization would save $6.91. Nice. in savings if they were to dump Jenkins. And I'll be honest, I don't think he played that great this year. I thought Christian Fulton played really well. I was pretty whelmed by the production of Jack Rabbit Jenkins. Look, the age, the injuries in the past are kind of starting to add up here. I don't like the touchdowns allowed. I don't like the yards allowed. If you can, again, work out a revised deal, okay, but at his age, I would be open to cutting Jenkins, and I still think you'd be okay at corner. Christian Fulton, Elijah Molden, Farley, maybe even Buster Screen comes back, Chris Jackson. There's youth here for this team in terms of being able to handle the Titans organization at the cornerback position. So I like where they're at with their youth at corner. I don't love the idea of Jenkins, and given his name recognition, maybe you could even find a trade partner. Probably asking for too much, but that brings us into our next question. What would you do with Jack Rabbit this offseason? Type T for trade him, C for cut him, or type in K for you're going to keep him. Let me know what you guys would want to do in the comments section right now. Time for the really tough one. Julio Jones. The contract makes it tricky. $14.3 million cap this year. Not that bad for prime Julio. Here's the problem. He's not prime Julio anymore. I think the Falcons, based on year one only, they definitely won that trade, getting a second-round pick back for him. You can't cut him right now. You only save $1.1 million. If you make him a post-June 1st cut, what that does, it allows you to spread the dead money hit out over 2 years. That would free up $9.5 million. And then you could use that to pay your draft class this year, plus some leftover just-in-case money to roll over into next year, and still have a bunch of money to spend in free agency. But it would also open up a big-time need at wide receiver. It's tricky. You can't pay Julio Jones $14 million for this. Honestly, he has to at minimum double that in terms of the receptions and yards to make it worthwhile. So, do you again restructure that contract, or do you try to move on from Julio? It's tough. It's a weird, awkward, difficult spot for the organization to be in right now. And frankly, I think you need more from Julio than you got in 2021. You need prime Julio. If you feel good about that version coming back, okay, let's ride, no complaints. The difference is you are banking on Julio being a key part of your wide receiver room, being that reliable second option to A.J. Brown, because your tight end room was also not very good, and Julio did not perform at that level. So you could save a bunch of money, make him post-June 1st cut, but you're also giving up on him after you moved a second-round pick to go acquire him. Does he want even a new deal? Tough to ask for one, I think, at this point. So when it comes to Julio Jones, what should they do with him? Should they cut him? Be honest with me in the comments. Type in Y for yes, they should, or type in N for no, they should not. One last name here. Sorry you're not cutting Ryan Tannehill. Kendall Lamb. Now, his $4 million cap hit isn't really all that bad. That's an affordable figure for a, swing backup offensive tackle. He also didn't do anything for you this year on IR. You save $3.15 million in savings. That's a not insignificant figure for a guy that I think they added to begin with to, maybe see if he can win the right tackle job. He did not at the end. So, is he worth the money to keep? Do you really need Kendall Lamb at this point? I'd argue probably not. Now, if you want to keep him, I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not that bad of a contract, but move on, invest that money elsewhere. I'm okay with that if you're Tennessee. If they do end up cutting one or several of these guys, we will break it down for you here on Tennessee Titans Today. So, if you haven't already, take advantage. Hit the big red button and subscribe for free for more Titans videos year-round.